everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Club. My name is Jesse Custa. I'm a preacher from Texas. This is I don't know why, like, all of a sudden I couldn't.
That's a very Georgia, Texas you got there.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know why suddenly, like, this Texas boy couldn't do a Texas accent. My mom and dad in Fort Worth are going like, what? What happened to our son in California? He lost his voice. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Club, where every Wednesday night we talk about comics and when we love them. I'm Matt Key, and I'm joined, as always, by Ms. Amy Dallen, our regular host.
Happy Halloween!
Yeah, happy Halloween. Taliesin Jaffe they just landed about 30 minutes ago. My lovely wife Brittany was telling me that they landed, and he's off to home, I would imagine.
So we are joined by very special guest,
Markeia McCarty,
aka Wonder Woman.
Yes,
you look so good.
You look
Thank you.
And you were very quick to correct me earlier when I was like, "Is this the God Killer?" And you're like, "No, I'm the God Killer." Anyway, hi. We're talking about in honor of Halloween. We've done a couple scary. We did Lock and Key last week. The week before we did
John Constantine,
Hellblazer.
We have Danny Carr in here.
Awesome.
It was amazing.
It was great. Yeah, Danny Carr. Oof. She knows her John Constantine. But tonight we're going to be talking about demons. Demons in comics and devils and... I
am very excited to make Matt put all of his life's training to use tonight.
Yes.
Matt, what's a demon?
Yeah, if there's anybody who loves Dormammu. Convert us to Dormammuism.
Oh, well, I don't know if I want to convert you to Dormammuism. Like...
So the first rule is maybe you don't want to get into this.
Well, no, I don't think anybody wants to get into worshiping demons.
Write us the Bible of Dormammuism now.
The Gospel of Dormammu.
Uh-huh.
The Evangelion, which is the Greek word.
This is what I'm talking about. The what? It's Evangelion, but yeah, okay.
Evangelion is the Greek word for gospel. It's good news. So.
Excellent. Same word that we're talking about when we talk about evangelism and evangelical and all this. Okay. Words.
Yeah.
All right.
Etymology is fun. So yeah, just for background, I went to seminary for about a year and a half.
Yeah, so this is the proper person to be talking about demons tonight on All Hallows Eve.
On
or All Hallows Day.
Here.
All Hallows Day?
No, tomorrow I think is. That's when
All
tonight
Saints Day is tomorrow. Okay. All Hallows Eve is tonight.
Excellent.
Right? Halloween. Hallow is like a ghost?
A hallow?
Or a sainted thing?
Hallow is...
Hallowed be thy name means holy.
Oh, hold on. I'm thinking harrowing. Harrowing is like the harrowing of hell, like the entrance and salvation of the people in hell is harrowing, but
cool.
The harrowing of hell. That the harrowing of hell comes from a theory of salvation from the early church, where it's called Christus Victor, where Jesus died in order to go to hell, because that's where everyone who died went. They didn't really go to heaven because original sin, and Jesus died and spent 3 days in hell, and then like pantsed the devil. Essentially, he's like, haha, look over there, I got the keys, bye. And then he took off and he took the keys of death to heaven, and God was like, haha, now souls can come to heaven.
Is that
That's
part of
Christmas.
the origin of the idea of a key to hell that we get in, for instance, Sandman Volume 4?
Well, the keys to hell is, I don't remember if there's actual scripture for the keys to hell. But I do know that it comes in like Paradise Lost, and it comes from like some of the early church fathers, like 3rd, 4th.
So it's
century.
fanon.
Really nice.
That term that means not canon, but established fan work conviction.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fanon.
fanon.
You know who I would love to have the keys to hell? John Constantine. Because I think that would be like the most amazing thing ever.
I think that would almost be kind of scary. Like, what would he What would he do?
Like, kick us off for tonight, because if you didn't see 2 weeks ago, who's John Constantine?
Oh, okay. So John Constantine, he is a demon hunter. I consider him like to be, he's like John Wick, but better. I mean, for those that, because with like magic and everything, like he's involved with that. I like John Constantine because he is, I can say douchebag, right? He's such a douchebag. Like he's a real scumbag, womanizer, smoker, everything like that. But
like sweet trash fire, like Clint Barton.
He's a sweet trash fire.
He's the kind of douchebag that's like, our douchebag. He's like, he's a
Yeah.
douchebag, but he's our douchebag. Are you here hunting demons? What's going on?
Oh, talking about hunters in general.
I have a special delivery here.
Yeah?
Found this in a tomb.
Can I?
Oh, the Tomb Raider Hellboy
The
crossover
Tomb
I
Raider.
did not know I needed. Oh my God.
It's Elisa Pearl. Hey,
Hey! How's it going? Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
You look amazing.
You look amazing.
The crossbow is a special touch because I couldn't find an actual bow and arrow. It's close enough.
Perfectly valid.
Yeah.
Also,
No, it looks good.
Probably upgraded, you know,
exactly.
as the adventure continued.
Exactly.
you built that out of stuff that you found on the island.
Thank you very much. That is all true. That's what happened. Well, yeah, I just want to wish you a happy Halloween and a happy Wednesday club.
Aw, thank you. And thank you for bringing my Hellboy in that I forgot on my desk.
I found that in
nice.
a tomb.
My tomb of a desk.
Yes.
Right. Also, just because I want to talk about it all the time, if any of y'all have not heard the announcement, you need to immediately get excited about Overlight GM5.
Oh, yeah.
Elisa Pearl.
That starts next week, right?
Very
Next Friday?
awesome.
November 9th, we're doing 6 sessions, and I'm GMing.
Woo!
That is so fun. I love that.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Super excited.
It's Overlight Fractured Paradox.
Yes, that's the name of the show. I think that's the first time it's been announced.
Oh, did I ruin everything?
No, you made it awesome.
Oh.
Yes, it's a special announcement. It's called Fractured Paradox.
Really excited for it.
Love that title.
Yay, thanks.
Yes.
This wasn't planned. I really just wanted to hijack this for a plug because I'm so excited.
And I just wanted to bother you all.
Plus, we had to immortalize this amazing costume. Look at this. The bandage is so good.
Thank you.
Can you kick your leg up so they can see the boots?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, those are some
fun
good
boots.
Quality boots.
Love it.
quality boots.
All right, well, I want to leave you to your demon hunting and talking.
Thank you.
Have a good time. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Have a good time now.
I'm going to go raid some more tombs.
Keep us safe.
Go back to my desk and raid that tomb.
I love this place.
This place is magical. All right, so what were we? Demons.
Demons.
Constantine.
Yes, what is a
Constantine.
demon? Constantine. Yes. Okay. So Constantine. What y'all already went over Hellblazer, but it's like that's an epic long journey. With Constantine itself, you know, I actually hadn't ever watched the series before. I only saw like maybe
The NBC
Oh, and
series?
I still haven't.
I saw like maybe the first 2 or 3 and everything, and it was like he was so mainstream. He wasn't a type of person that you would literally expect to sacrifice his allies just to get rid of a demon, kind of a thing. I would never think that person would do that. But Constantine himself in comics totally would. I mean, what in particular with him do you want to?
Just in general,
No,
he gets it doing a lot of.
Like I think one of my favorite things is how he played the devil off of like other like leaders of hell, like how like he has
Oh.
they each own a part of his soul and they're all fighting each other and like so like they don't want him to die because then like a war is going to erupt in hell.
Yeah,
But
so
that's
he got
what he would do
himself
with
like
the keys. Is he would get like
Exactly.
a million different parties to bid on them. He would like sell them to everyone so that if anybody came to claim, everybody else would go to war with them, and that's how he would like stake out 100 years of peace or something like that.
I like that. It's like he has a type of immortality because none of them are.
'Cause
like,
they don't want him to
They
die.
don't want him to die.
Because they're like, oh, it's going to start a war. Oh, what are we going to do about that? Yeah, I love
Sounds like
Constantine.
a timeshare.
A hell timeshare.
A hell timeshare.
So what's interesting, like, you know how like we do the year one? We've done Batman year one and Wonder Woman year one.
We've done Superman. We're looking
Oh,
forward to
Superman. We're doing Wonder Woman soon.
Soon. It just means we literally read the first year of their comics. We're just out to confuse people since, of course, there are real books called such and such.
Oh,
and
okay.
one.
Year
That
one,
is
yeah.
not
But
what we're
we-
talking about.
Okay, because then that made me think Batman Year One, which made me think Long Halloween, Dark Victory.
Long Halloween. Great. It's great. But we're not here to talk about Long.
We're not, because there's no demons in that.
No demons in it. Well, is Ra's al Ghul in there?
And Long Halloween?
Long Halloween?
So I put
No.
him, when we were browsing,
No.
today's topic, I put a,
No, because then you have the origin of Dick Grayson happens in Dark Victory, but not in Long Halloween.
I put Ra's al Ghul on my demon adjacent list when I was
Oh.
like
Okay.
browsing, brainstorming for this week, where it's sort of like, you know, he's the demon,
He's the,
but he's
well,
not
he's
really
the demon's
like
head.
a demon.
He's not a demon, but he is the demon's head.
So Mackie, who's Ra's al Ghul? Raish and or Raz and or
Raish,
The Battle War
Ra's
is on.
al Ghul is one of my favorite Batman villains. He is like, where is he from? Like, he's from kind of like Middle East or like Middle East adjacent, right? Like Turkey or
That's what I understand.
like that's what I've always understood. And he is he's a couple hundred years old, if I remember correctly, and he is immortal because of the Lazarus pits, and they give him kind of like this a little bit of strength and all this other stuff, but he's mostly like he's the lead of the League of Assassins, and he is constantly going after Batman, both as I'm going to take you down, but we should totally be partners. And it always goes back and forth, and you never fully know what exactly he's going for. Then he's also got Talia al Ghul, his daughter. And
he trained Damien.
And, he trained Damien Wayne,
Damian
the
Wayne.
grandson.
Who is like, what? He's not my favorite of the Robins, but he's pretty far up there.
Yeah, he's
Because
yeah.
he's a little spitfire.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he runs the League of Assassins, but anytime he's like mortally wounded or injured, he can go into the Lazarus pit and it resurrects him essentially, or keeps him from death. But with that comes like this sort of like blood-crazed insanity where like he just immediately rips apart and murders everybody who's immediately outside of the Lazarus pit until the madness kind of winds down. Also, one of the more famous Batman, or notorious, I should say, Batman panels is of him shirtless but still wearing the cape and cowl and wielding a sword in a desert, and that comes from a story with Ra's al Ghul, drawn by Neil Adams, if I remember correctly.
There's a lot of classic Ra's al Ghul, Neil Adams stuff from that era. He's very steeped in like, I've got secrets of the East, but since like I tend to grandfather him in because he's kind of one of the originals in comics of that, where it's just like, and he's in that classic mode of like, I'm either going to recruit you or kill you, and I'm really open to both options. Like,
I'm not opposed to either one.
Yeah, it all depends on how you roll with this right now. I'm just going to lay this out there.
But there is an element of like, and I don't remember if they did this initially with him in his first stories, but later on it became more canonical that his entire drive, though, is antagonistic to Batman's goals, is more or less like just to keep the world like safe. He may have to kill like 100 million people to do it, but at least the rest of the world will continue to spin because, I got to get rid of Gotham because they're one of the primary pollutants on the Earth, and Earth is dying because of pollution. So let's get rid of Gotham, send a message to the world. Maybe we can save it. Like that's kind of his. So you're like, I mean, I disagree with your methods. But he's not technically a demon.
But the ends justify the means with him.
For him, yeah.
Definitely.
So much like the Year One stuff, with like Batman and stuff like that, the hierarchy of hell that we have, like the names of the demons, like the fact that there are demons and stuff like that, we're now like 2,000 years removed from the history where those notions were first sort of created and stuff like that. So when we look back at like we just assume like, yes, demons are all over the Bible, and they are mentioned here and there, but like also like, for instance, like the word for Lucifer is actually a Latin word that comes from the Vulgate, which is a Latin translation of the Bible that didn't come around, and it's in the first millennia of Christianity. I don't think it came out in like maybe around 800. I don't remember. But that was a loose translation of another Hebrew word that was more like Hillel or something like that, which meant like morning star and light bringer and stuff like that. But then everyone was like, the name of the devil is Lucifer. And I was like, well, there's one verse in Isaiah that's like a loose translation in the Latin, So
for people who might not be super familiar, this is, we're talking about the concept of demons and the devil as they come out of sort of Christian biblical tradition, or a Christian biblical tradition, which itself is building on and translating older works, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love the term Vulgate, and I'm going to use that somehow, or I'm going to write something where I get to talk about the Vulgate.
The Vulgate is the Latin the very first Latin translation of the Bible.
I actually love this because vulgar means like common and ordinary and of the people. And so the Vulgate was when they translated it into the language everyone could understand.
Awesome.
So because people didn't need to speak what?
Well,
Greek?
the Old Testament was written in Hebrew and the New Testament was written in Greek.
And Aramaic, is that the same as Hebrew? This is a terrible question.
No, it is not.
Okay.
No, it is not.
love
They may be based on the same roots. I'm actually not much of a linguist in that way, so I can't answer that. But they may be based on like a similar root language, but they're not the same language. No. But yeah, the Old Testament in Hebrew, New Testament in Greek. It's actually Koine Greek, which was the common Greek. There was a more like heightened, educated Greek, and Koine Greek was the Greek of the people. So I had that's what I studied in seminary, was a variation of Greek called Koine Greek that only biblical scholars really know.
Meanwhile, Wonder Woman's like, yes, we know.
Yeah, we know.
No, I'm just like, ooh.
So wait, is it the Vulgate, I think. Because there's also the
So
Septuagint. No,
what you're saying is essentially this.
I'm like 15 years removed from seminary.
These popular conceptions have grown up over the 2,000 years since then.
Yeah, so like a lot of the
1,200
conceptions.
to 2,000 since
A
then.
lot of the conceptions that, like modern day conceptions that we have of hell, of the way that Satan works, the sort of hierarchy of demons and all that stuff, that's all apocryphal apocryphal books, or church fathers, or Milton's Paradise Lost. In fact, a lot of our understanding of hell.
The most successful fan fiction of all time.
Yeah, it really is. It's a lot of our understandings of hell, like the hierarchy of hell, the levels of hell, all that stuff, not in the Bible. It's all from Milton.
And Dante, probably, a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dante and Paradise Lost. It comes from those two sources. A lot of our.
This is going to be plugged for a thing I haven't actually listened to, but it sounds like an amazing concept. Have you been listening to Anthony Oliveira's podcast, The Devil's Party?
No.
He's doing a Paradise Lost podcast, and it's called The Devil's Party. And he's breaking it down bit by bit, and I follow him on Twitter, which is just a delight to do in general. So I see updates about it, but I haven't dived in yet because I'm like, well, I have to read the whole thing first, and then I'll be prepared for that. And I'm pretty sure that's not how podcasts work. But in my head, I got hung up on not having done the reading.
So, like, just to like segue and transition into it, then like demonic possession. Then you know, if like demons himself, like we were talking about, like coming out of this particular thing, then like. You know, because it's very popular in pop culture with like The Exorcist and so on and so forth. And then to like transition into the many examples that we have today. One of the books that I grabbed for this was Outcast.
Oh, I haven't started that yet.
Oh!
Tell me all about it, please.
Okay, I'm not gonna do spoiler, like not too hard spoilers.
Like just like the first couple issues, like I think is fine.
Yeah. Oh, then I should
I
have
read
grabbed
the
volume
beginning,
5.
and I loved it, but just show it off to us.
Yeah. Okay. So this it's Robert Kirkman. This is like volume 5. There's so many. There's so many. It is well worth a read. The reason why I did Outcast, and like I'm bringing this up now, is because yes, demonic possession. Like when you think of it, you think of like maybe Exorcist, or you think of like John Constantine, where it's like he's literally fighting demons. You know, there's no doubt that he is actually having dealings with demons, and that whole thing that we were talking about before. Like with Outcast, I feel like it kind of gives you that gray area with it, depending on where you are when you're reading this. But let's say like near the beginning, then it's like, yes, you feel like your two main characters, Kyle and Reverend Anderson, like you feel like they are probably in the right. I know. Oh God, this book is. I love everything with this. You feel like they're in the right when they are trying to get rid of these demons, but you don't know if it turns out it's like you don't know if they really are demons. There's something coming from some other place that does tend to be established, but are they exorcising demons? Are they just making the demons bury deeper inside the people? Are they, these demons, actually ending up by exorcising them, killing the people that they're trying to help?
Interesting.
Yeah, I like where it's got this huge gray area in it, and I think it's such a good read.
I love the opening of the book made a very strong impression on me because it was just this beautiful sort of like, you meet someone and you kind of get their perspective, and that there are some, what we would say, some like demons in their past. And then you're like, nope, in the present, what's happening?
Actual demons.
Yeah.
Maybe, yes.
Maybe.
I something's going on.
Yeah, and they have a plan. Like all of the demons, they can recognize. Well, demons. I don't even want to use that word with it, but it's like they are demons, aren't they? So these others, like they recognize each other, and there's this day that they are trying to make happen. It's like it's basically a tipping of the scales. More of them than there is of us, or at least more of them in the right places.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a little insidious. And then Kyle
Insidious is such a good word.
isn't it?
Insidious.
Yeah, and then Kyle himself, he's just he's a trash fire. He really is. He's just.
Wait,
trying to
what does
make it
Kyle do?
happen. Kyle, he's divorced, and his wife and his little girl, basically. All right. Okay, this isn't fun. The way to exorcise someone, Kyle basically has to beat the crap out of them. It's like beating the devil out of them. It's not just this and like so. I mean, this
It's
is
in the opening of the book.
It's
and
in the opening of the
content
book.
warning.
That he's divorced, right? Maybe it's just estranged from, but I think they're divorced from his wife because she was taken over by one of these others, and he beat the crap out of her. So
Yeah, content warning.
yeah, so it's like yes, no,
But it's
such
explored, like it's
such a gray area with this.
it's an interesting book because it's sort of, it is clear that something is going on, but it's
Something
like
is
it's
there.
just it is not being told as some kind of like parable for sympathizing with abusive people. It's really
Yeah.
told as a like, here's where the entrance of the supernatural in lives could really mess things up. Like,
Yeah, and I know
at least the parts I've read.
I
No,
know.
like you're like I think if you like talk about like the first like couple issues, you're not spoiling anything.
Okay.
Like that's going to entice our viewers to read it.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
maybe
just,
me.
Oh, I shouldn't have. Yeah.
I
didn't
was
see
looking.
that
No,
one.
I was looking at the
Okay.
camera
Because
because I'm attention starved.
yeah, and even like with Kyle, with Reverend Anderson, he's trying to figure things out because it's like he believes that he's doing good, Reverend Anderson, but he comes to the realization that maybe he's been going about things the entirely wrong way. That these others have been tricking him, being like, "Oh yeah, it went away," and it didn't.
Or did it.
Or did it?
Yeah.
And then he runs to Kyle, and Kyle has to like touch and and everything, and then
Punch.
exactly.
And then the demon's like, "Stop it! That hurts."
Yeah, actually.
So that's
well,
like,
in a
"Oh, we
kind
didn't exercise you. You're still in there."
Yeah.
That sucks.
A
So I know
lot.
I haven't seen it. I know they've been adapting this one.
Yeah.
Because Kirkman has that TV pipeline going.
Yes, he does. Oh, for those that aren't familiar, Walking Dead.
Yeah.
That's Kirkman. So, yeah. Oh,
Skybound.
Skybound, Image Comics.
Image has things called imprints. We've talked about this kind of stuff a bit before, but Skybound is the one that's sort of like Kirkman and various people that he's been like, I like your idea, make that comic. It's a Skybound comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Birthright is also Skybound, right?
Yes.
Got that down there?
I
That's
do.
love Birthright. I love
me some
Birthright.
Birthright. I literally didn't know which one to bring, so I grabbed a
I've
handful.
got to catch up. I've only read like the first two
Yeah.
trades. I'm like
This is
far
one of those
behind.
where like I struggled to talk about Birthright because I love that first issue so much. But the first issue also contains like the first of many interesting twists in the story, but like it was so much fun to read knowing nothing about it that I'm always like, I really want to tell you the main pitch of this, but I don't want to tell you the main pitch of this, but I want to tell you what happens, but I don't want to tell you what happens, but you should definitely check it out, and I can't tell you what.
Well,
like
since you're struggling with it, why don't you rehearse it in front of our entire audience?
Okay. I mean, the story's so far in now that the basic twists from the first issues are probably not considered spoilers, but I still feel protective of them because I love it. It's by Josh Williamson with Andre Bresson? Yeah, and Adriana Lucas. And it is a twist on a lot of sort of fantasy storytelling ideas that we are familiar with, of sort of like getting sucked into another world and maybe coming back and maybe bringing something with you. But what I love is like it opens with this very grounded examination of like you know, we usually watch movies where a kid wanders away to the woods and goes to a fantasy world. We don't as often see like kid wanders into the woods, what happens to his family?
Yeah.
Where they're like, what? What do you mean he's gone?
Yeah, what do you mean he disappeared?
And
I don't think it's a spoiler to say this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just say it so you don't
if
have to.
if you've already been sold, then stop listening, and I'm gonna wave my hands like this when we're done, okay?
Yeah, we won't get too deep in this.
Not too deep, just like the first, the premise, like the first episode, the first issue or two.
Maybe like the first volume.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're at all interested already, stop listening now because, like I said, I really love.
So they're like the first couple issues. I don't remember all the twists and turns, but the basic premise is this: family's out for like a picnic or like camping in the woods. The youngest kid disappears. Is it the youngest, right?
Yeah.
And how long has he gone before the stranger comes back?
He's gone for
Is it a year
year.
Okay, so he disappears for
like
a
a
year.
year.
And in that year, his older brother is blaming himself for it, and his mom and dad, I think they divorce because like they just can't handle like it's your fault. No, it's your fault, and it tears the family apart.
Suspicion falls on the dad because he was the last one seen with the kid, and unfortunately, again, in the real world, that usually means bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So-
she starts believing that he then killed him. Like, what did you do to my
Why
baby?
did you
Help
hiding?
suspecting, even like, you know, and they're kind of falling apart because tragedy does that to people.
And then, out of nowhere, this like
Grown-ass man.
this grown-ass
Jason
man,
Momoa wanders out of the woods.
Jason Momoa,
Like,
as
whoa.
Conan, like just full like just hair, beard, giant broadswords,
Yeah.
wanders out of the woods and is like, Mom,
dude.
Dad, I'm your son. And it turns out he wandered into the woods and wandered into a magical land where he was like the prophesied
Chosen one.
chosen
of
one
destiny.
essentially to save
Yeah.
the world, and then he saves it, or does he?
Or does he?
So now you're caught up. But there are like demon elements in that, like demonic like elements
was
in
it the Nevermind? The Nevermind? The Evermind?
I don't remember. It's been a year since I read it.
I think you're right the first time.
Yeah, where it's like you can be infected by, I think it's called the Nevermind, which is part of the great king. I'm not going to say whether it's an evil or good king. I'm going to say like this great king of that other world. And I keep on wanting to say the Nevermind or the Neverwhere, the Nowhere. But you have to accept that demon in.
Oh,
you have to
interesting.
choose,
I did not come to that part yet.
Full-fledged. You have to choose to let it in.
That's cool. I will say this about the book. This is one of those books where like, as of issue 1, I was like, sold. I want to read all of this story.
It is
Like,
basically a perfect first
it's
issue,
real.
I
It's
think.
very well written. It is such an easy premise that it's a miracle no one has come up with something like that in this way. It's one of those like, how has this not been done 1,000 times? Like, this is great. So I highly like, thank you for bringing that in. I didn't even think about that with demons. Like, I got so stuck on like Etrigan and Darkhold and Ghost Rider and all the Doctor Strange stuff that I didn't even think outside. Like, I got stuck in my box. Didn't really get out of this box too much.
No,
so.
that's fine.
No, I love this premise, and I did want to one more thing from the sort of mythological definition side of this. What is the difference between a devil and a demon?
There's not much.
The devil?
As far as I understand the terminology, there's not much of a difference, except that demons are typically minions or thralls to a devil. Like a devil is typically like, I am the devil of hell. I lord over hell. My demons go do my bidding.
I love your devil accent.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah.
So that's that's the way I've always seen it.
And it is interesting because when we talk about demons, that we were talking about this before the show started. When you get into world mythology and other religions and other sources of folklore, you get a lot of things that kind of map more or less closely onto that. So you get like Japanese folklore is full of things that they'll generally just translate as demon. That sort of means like supernatural monster that does not have your good interest at heart. You know, like it. So it's sort of an interesting, like when we get into some of the Marvel superhero characters, the sort of question of like, is Mephisto a demon, a devil, the devil? What does that mean exactly?
You know, I always consider demons, this is just my own personal thing.
Yeah.
I always just consider demons to be younger than the devil. That's all it is. Like demons will be the devil once there is enough time and experience. That's and if they don't
They're like Pokemon.
In their
They
final
evolved to
form.
devils.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You got to feed them demon candy.
There
That's
you
what
go.
Halloween is for.
You feed the demons to
You
turn
have
into
to feed
devils.
the demons candy. And demons are children.
They are.
And I think that's about we all came around to that. Rare candy.
So,
Perfect.
just because you're so fascinated by my seminary days. Yeah. So if you I'm trying to. How do you? Okay. Christianity. This is so weird. Christianity was the very first religion in the history of the world, as far as I remember my studies, to say, no other gods are allowed. You're actually worshiping demons or devils or lesser spirits. Our God is the only God. Like at that time in culture, if you worshipped Baal, then that was cool. It was like, you worship Baal. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't worship Baal. But you can worship Baal all you want.
Bit outside my
Power
lane,
move.
but doesn't that come from the Old Testament and no other gods before me?
See, there's a way to translate that where it's like, there's no other gods before me, so there are no other gods. But the way that the Hebrews would have translated that is, there are thousands of other gods, but there's none before me.
Oh, as in I come first.
I'm the first God for you.
Yeah.
You can worship these other gods all you want.
There's a lot
I'm
of
the
times in
first God,
places
though.
where religions will take other people's gods and goddesses and be like, they're bad guys, right?
Or they'll just relabel them.
They'll relabel,
Like
Rome
the Romans
relabeled
and-
the Greek
and
gods.
Greeks, Yeah.
Although they mostly adopted them in a good way where they were like, cool,
Yes.
that river's lucky, got it.
Well, but
Like-
it's more of a cultural thing. It's not necessarily it's the demonizing of those other gods.
Mm-hmm.
So it's saying, like, Christianity was the first one to say,
Demonizing, you say.
Yeah.
I said it.
Go on.
I'm trying to think of the
Such
best, like,
deviltry.
how to talk about it. So, like, back in the day, there was Zoroastrianism.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Philistines were worshiping Baal. Like all these other gods existed.
Sure.
And everyone in that culture said, "Oh, those are gods. I just don't worship that God." So, and like other cultures would go to fight like over each other, but they would never say, "Your God's not a God." They would say, "My God is stronger than your God, and we're going to kick your ass." But they accepted that the Philistines worship their God and we worship our God, and they're both gods. You just have your God and we have our God. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
So Christianity comes along and says, "Oh, yeah, Baal, not a god, demon. You're worshiping a demon. You're worshiping a devil. You're worshiping an evil spirit, not an actual God. Ours is the only actual God."
Yeah.
And Christianity is the first one to come in and do that. I'm trying to think of what the name is. It's like hentotheism or something like that.
Well, monotheism.
Monotheism.
Monotheism is the worship of one God.
Okay.
God, what is it? Is it hentotheism?
Oh, so
I
the
can't
belief
remember.
in only one God as distinct from the worship of only one God.
Yes, but hentotheism, I'm saying, I know that's not the right word, but there is a type of theism that says, "Oh no, there are many, many, many gods, and you're allowed to worship whatever gods you want to. None of those gods are wrong. I worship this God. You worship your God, and that's totally cool. They're all gods, and that's fine."
Maybe polytheism.
Polytheism is the worship of multiple gods.
Yeah.
So the time of Christianity, that was Roman culture certainly, was an acceptance that every god was a god, and you worship the gods that you wanted to. And there was no judgment for that. Typically, the only judgment that you would receive would be if your Roman city-state had a god that everyone agreed on was the god of that city-state, so like Athens with Athena. So Athena, for someone who lived in Athens, that should be your primary god. It doesn't have to be.
Hometown god.
But it's your hometown god.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
your hometown team.
You
Yeah.
know, like you have the temple there. You probably go and make your sacrifices to Athena on her feast days.
Are the Red Sox? Are the Dodgers? What have you?
What have you?
What have you?
So you have your home god, but all the other gods are apt gods for you to worship.
Sure.
You know, certainly within the Greek pantheon, they accepted that. But the Greek pantheon and the Roman pantheon actually extended to, oh yeah, Yahweh's a god, that's fine. The Hebrews have their god, that's totally cool. He's a god, we just don't worship that god. And our god's a different pantheon than that god, but they're all gods. So God, what is that name? It's driving me nuts. I can't remember the theism.
When you don't think of it.
What is it?
Henotheism?
Henotheism? I think
And
it's henotheism.
theism.
There may be one God, but there is only one supreme. And then cathenotheism is there is more than one God, but only one at a time should be worshipped.
Can we? Did y'all get that, or should I repeat what he said?
I don't even know what I said.
Henotheism is there's many gods, but only one is supreme. Cathenotheism, there's many gods, but you should only worship one at a time.
One at a time. So it's like, this is Monday's God, because
Yep.
Mondays are tough. So
Yeah. So like it would be like, oh man, we're having a hard time with the harvest this year. I haven't been paying enough attention to the harvest god, so I'm going to go pray to this harvest god.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond even just like the Greek pantheon of like, or the Roman pantheon, Jupiter and Neptune and Uranus and.
I
and all
kind of like
It's-
that, because I think like there should be a parking god, where it's just like, I'm going to get there like right on time. Hey, parking god, can I get a parking spot? And then a lot of other people don't pray to the parking god, so then you get that spot right
Get
away.
that spot all the damn time. Yeah.
Yep.
But like I bring that up only to say like that's where like sort of like demons really start to take hold in culture. Is like there were always like lesser spirits and evil spirits, but this idea
And
of
there
like
is the idea that,
a hierarchy to evil spirits is like starts coming in around like ancient Rome and like
So
Christianity and stuff like that because of that.
an interesting thing is like the evolution of here's one god and all this other stuff that you might have heard about is a trick someone is playing to fool you. That sort of intersects with the fact that in other older mythologies like Egyptian and Roman and Greek mythologies, like there's millions of gods and demigods and things out there, but they aren't all benevolent.
Oh, yeah.
But like, some of them are just out to mess you up because it's funny. Like, or whisper bad things in your ear. And that's, so I imagine that ultimately sort of intersects and lays onto some of those later ideas about like, when they're trying to make like chart of the heavens, when Christianity becomes the dominant sort of cultural force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it when it goes into that gray area where it's like, yeah, no, it's not a benevolent entity. You're like, oh no, it's trying to mess things up. But then there's also the greater picture of things, because like, can things really be messed up? Like something can happen where it's like, oh, I didn't get that parking spot. Oh gosh, I'm 10 minutes late. Oh my God, I ran into this high school friend that I would have never ran into them if I hadn't got that parking spot. And then like, oh, we went and got coffee. Oh, we're married. And it's like, so
I love your life. I love the life that you've laid out for yourself, Markeia.
it's like, let's go. But it's like, was that
God of parking's
such
like,
a bad thing?
job done.
Yeah.
High fives the God of weddings. Like, just be like, this is
like
a team
that.
effort.
We
God of
work
weddings.
together just for Markeia.
The god of coffee's like, yep, did it again.
And then if this were Greek mythology, they would have a big fight over who got credit for it. And they would
Yep.
make y'all try to like choose which of them got credit for it, and it would be a mess.
And then
Yes.
2,000 years from now, an astronomer will go, that's the planet coffee.
Or they'd be like, that's the constellation Markeia. It represents,
Oh.
whatever, happened to you after they made you choose, which probably didn't end well, but you end up in the stars, so that's okay.
There you go.
Anyway, all the theology talk, I'm like 15 years out of practice, so if I got any of those facts wrong, don't hold them against me. And if you question any of it, go look it up on the internet and correct me later, please.
Tell
I'm always
us
up for education.
Tell us some of your big bads.
Oh, man.
Because like
So, well,
we've
here's
gone,
the
we've kind
question
of
that
gone
I have.
into my gray area, and then believe me, I have some more that I want to gray area us on. But how about some definite big bads?
Well,
Yeah.
So here's my question. Well, you know what? Mephisto is definitely,
He's in this category.
he's in this category.
Black
he is
Panther
a devil. He's a
took him
lord
out.
of hell. But you can also call him a demon. And we're not parsing so hard that we can't allow for devils and demons. Like,
I think that's an interesting part. Like, I brought that up because I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
That, like, there really are no sort of hard and fast rules to this, especially since we're coming at it from a cultural studies perspective, not from a, like, there is a correct interpretation religion perspective.
so
Right. Which is why we set all that up in the beginning.
So Mephisto is arguably one of the more powerful villains in the entire Marvel universe. Mephisto is the actual literal Lord of Hell, the devil. He is the closest approximation to a devil that you can get in the Marvel universe outside of there's Satanish, who is Satan-ish. That's literally how you spell
They
his name.
really went with that. I think there's like an extra N maybe, but
Yeah, there's an
Yeah.
extra N so that it is.
They're hiding it.
Instead of, hey, Satanish, it's, Satanish. And he's bipedal, he looks like a human, except he's also got a really grumpy mouthy face on his stomach too, and they can both eat.
Quato.
Yes, yes. So there's Satanish. There are other like devils and demons and stuff like that. Belasco and which I'm sure you can't wait to talk about Belasco and Ileana Rasputin with the X-Men. That's one of my favorite stories too. But Mephisto is certainly one of the more powerful. And if you want a good example of Mephisto,
Show that cover off. Come on.
like,
Yes.
so this is one of the first big giant stories that. Oh, I guess we're setting the camera up, but here it is. I'll put it back down here. This way,
over.
this way, this way. There we go. Thank you, Johnny.
Nice.
Thank you, Mike Mignola.
Yeah, so Triumph and Torment is Roger Stern, who was a big writer for Marvel in the 70s and into the 80s. But Mike Mignola, this is one of his first things. And Mike Mignola, you might remember from Hellboy.
Turns out he has a knack for this stuff.
Yeah, it turns out he really enjoys drawing hellish things, such as, here, let me show you one of my favorite.
Entertaining for us.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
So this is,
Yeah.
look at this, just, come on. Come on, like, look at this Mephisto here. That's Mephisto.
Yeah.
Standing
Oh, he's got
large.
style.
Yeah. Oh, he's got
Flock of
and he
seagulls
is-
style.
No, and he is incredibly vain. That is actually like he's very prideful and very vain. That is like certainly a hallmark of him, where he's like, yes, I'm the Lord of Hell. Like everyone else can go fuck themselves kindly. Yeah, like I'm beautiful and awesome. Like, but he's all powerful. He's super magical. He can change his size. One of the more notorious Mephisto stories. Brand New Day. If you are not a comic book fan and you are talking with comic book fans,
If they were reading circa 2005, they were either into this or real mad about it.
real mad about it. I was one of the ones real mad about it because it's just like so what it was after Civil War,
Not
right?
important, but we're talking One More Day, which is right before Brand New Day.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
One More Day.
One More Day, but that leads into Brand New Day.
Right.
Okay, so
This is how we get to Brand New Day.
this is how we get to Brand New Day. One More Day follows is like a 4 to 6 part story that follows the Civil War arc with Peter Parker, where Tony Stark convinces Peter Parker to reveal, I'm Spider-Man. He's not wanted to do that, but in order to help out with the Superhuman Registration Act and stuff like that, and Peter Parker actually believes in it, Tony Stark convinces him this is the right move. He doesn't want to do it. He's afraid to do it, but he thinks it's the right move to make, and he does that. And because of that, the villains are like, Peter Parker, and all of his worst fears come true,
Yeah.
and they all attack. And Aunt May ends up in the crossfires, and now she's in the hospital, and Spider-Man is like, oh, fuck all of this, and he puts the black costume on, and he becomes, like, he's essentially becoming, like, not Venom, because it's not the symbiote, but he's, like, very bloodied. Like, he's like, nope, I don't care anymore. Like, you guys can die. He's not killing anybody, but he's
not pulling punches
He's not
either.
pulling punches anymore.
Yeah.
And he's like not making jokes. He's like, who's the person that killed my Aunt May? I will murder you. Tell me. And like, it was this great arc. It was fantastic. And like, I remember that was one of the Spider-Man stories that really pulled me back into Spider-Man in a major way because they were taking some risks with the character and it was going somewhere.
He had no more F's to give.
He had no more F's to give. And then Mephisto makes him an offer. Your Aunt May is gonna die. I can save her, but I'm gonna need your happiness. And it's like, all right, well, what does that mean? And essentially what it means is Brand New Day, where all of that is erased.
So
The
there's
entire
some
story arc that we were
controversy
leading
about-
up to, yeah.
Yeah, this is a famously controversial story. I have a cranky song about this one because that's the kind of thing one does.
You have a cranky song?
I
Did you write it?
I did.
Oh my God, I love you so much more than I did just like a minute ago.
Yeah, come to Double Clicks shows. But it's funny. It is interesting because like I can sort of appreciate what they were trying to put back in the box with this because they found themselves in a corner with like, oh, his identity is public. How do we get the set of tools back here? But it came off in the end as famously, this is when Spider-Man stopped being married after like 27 years.
Yep. He and MJ are no longer together because of this story.
And it it is partially famous because it was one of those first ones where people could track what was happening kind of behind the scenes because it was taking place in early internet, and because writer J. Michael Straczynski sort of famously took his name off the Ultimate Conclusion because that story was like a real collaboration between him and editorial on what was happening there.
Interesting. I have not heard this side of it yet.
Yeah.
Really fun.
It essentially, that is not necessarily how he wanted it all to go down because their intent was to make, and for some people the story really works. Some people, their intent was to make a really poignant moment about sort of difficult choices and what he'll do for love, and like that Peter Parker will make the hard choices or whatever. And they've also tried to spin sort of a defense that like, because Mary Jane is an active participant and it was sort of a mutual thing. I hate it because
Cranky song.
yeah, cranky song. If your whole deal is that with great power comes great responsibility, you don't get to make deals with the devil.
Yep.
That's just
Yep.
not
Yep.
it. But like
Preach.
Yeah.
but you know that I especially like at the time I didn't appreciate it as much. Like I can understand had they taken another path to get to the wiping of that stuff away, I still wouldn't have necessarily been in favor, but at least it would have been less like he's literally Mephisto. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
But
Great power, great responsibility, deals with the devil. Sure, all right.
I know he's not literally the devil, but he's close enough. We all know.
We all know.
Yeah, we get it.
So many great stories have been told since then. That is the status quo now. They've done a lot of great stuff in the like over 10 years since this story happened. But you'll notice if you talk to fans of a certain generation that we're still mad about it.
Yep, that is one of those. That is important for you, the maybe not knowledgeable of comics.
Also, giant spoilers for a random story from 2005 or 7 or whenever this
Yeah,
was.
so
Yeah,
like
like-
2000, late 2000s, mid to late 2000s. But like in the story, he makes a deal with Mephisto. Mephisto's like, I just want your happiness. And essentially he retcons Spider-Man back to the 60s-ish. Like, not really the 60s, but it's like wacky, fun, teenage Peter Parker. And she's like, what are you doing? No!
There was some thinking from the editorial side that he'd been aged up too much, but he'd accumulated a lot of history. He'd been married a long time, and the idea being that he'd be more relatable if he was like swinging single Peter. And it's odd because, you know, folks reading, he'd been married since before they were born, like in many cases. But it's comics. They're always going to make stories, and sometimes we're going to love the changes, and sometimes we're not.
Sometimes we're not, you know.
But, you know, that was that time Mephisto completely won. Not my favorite in terms of continuity.
And all that to say, that is the power of Mephisto. Mephisto is basically like, I've got the reality and the time gem on my fingers. Snap, you're back to square one. MJ doesn't even know who you are. I got your happiness.
And here's the problem. That's where Peter Parker needs an inter-universe crossover with John Constantine, who would be like, you know what you do is don't sign anything.
Don't sign
He's
it.
got the keys to hell in this one, obviously. And it's like, you know what? How about the two of us go and take on Mephisto?
Let's go do
I
this.
know exactly where he lives. I've got keys to his timeshare.
Oh, you know what? If I'm ever a comic book writer, if I'm ever at that level, I'm going to pitch the story where I retcon the retcon. I'm like, oh no, brand new
Which
day
is the most comic
never
book thing
happened.
to ever happen. Yeah.
Like, it didn't happen. And Spider-Man goes to hell and he beats the shit out of Mephisto and he takes his happiness back. Ooh. That's what I want, Internet.
Shout out to Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, which is an alternate future universe where they are still married and have a kid. And our buddy Jody Hauser has
I was about to say,
been
Hauser.
married for some time.
Yeah, Jody.
How's up?
Yep. Yeah.
So anyway, Strange Doctor
Long
Doom, Triumph and
Mephisto.
Torment.
Yep.
Mephisto, so he makes, I'm trying to remember exactly. So first of all, this is one of my favorite Doctor Strange images ever, and I'll tell you why. This is the very first time, I don't know if it's the first time they've been drawn, but this is the first time I, as a reader, was introduced to the visage of the eternal Vishanti. Because we have omnipotent Ashtur, we've got Agamotto as the tiger, and who's the one in there? I can't remember. Hoggoth.
Obviously, Hoggoth.
Of the hoary hosts.
Okay, now in retrospect, yes. Obviously.
Yeah, so that's the one in the middle.
He only talks about that all the time.
Yeah. But that's the first time I was like, that's what the Vishanti look like? That's the eternal Vishanti? Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange nerd.
Well, you can see why Doctor Strange has such a man crush on him.
Yeah, right. But like, just look at, come on, like look at how badass Doctor Strange is in this. Like, he's just like, come on. I know that we're not talking about Doctor Strange, but give me a little
We
bit.
know what we were
kinda
doing
are.
when
We
we were
knew
like,
it
Matt,
was
run the
gonna
Demons
happen.
episode.
Yeah, do the Demons episode. Doctor Strange, okay, yeah, I can do that. So Mephisto is like, he is like Omega level antagonist.
Yeah.
And he's always evil and he's always self-serving, but every once in a while he will work in your favor. Brand new day. Ish.
Yeah. I like
he'll
how
make
he's
deals. He's very
everywhere.
Faustian in that way.
Yeah, I like how he's kind of everywhere, and he seems to have. I mean, you know that he's like super, super powerful, but then you'll have something like, and sorry to bring it back to it, but you know me, Christopher Priest, Black Panther, where it's like, yeah, Black Panther like totally takes on Mephisto, like they're just like that happens, and like it was like a condo or an apartment where Black Panther kicks the crap out of Mephisto, and it's just like, wait, how did that?
Is that
yeah.
the one where he's sitting next to? I'm forgetting his name. Everett Ross.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
He like
for
sells
those
his
that are
soul
familiar-
for short or for pants or something like that.
Well, because he doesn't have
pants on?
he doesn't have pants or he doesn't have shoes. I
Everett
think it's like
Ross?
doesn't
Yeah.
have pants.
I don't think-
and
like,
Mephisto's like, I can make that happen for you. And he's like, no,
No,
I'm good.
God, did I just sell my soul for pants? Yeah.
Yes.
Priest
But
is
yeah,
so
like
good.
the way that Black Panther ended up actually beating Mephisto was because, off panel, he had like his whole posse, praying in his favor. So then that's the way that depowered Mephisto. So I just like, for instance, with like this all powerful, demon or the devil or
The devil,
literal
yeah.
Satan. That he's so versatile that you can plug him into different things like that. And it's like, and it still works.
He's very like.
He's got so much style.
Yeah, he's Faustian. That's the best way to put it. Like he's always got an agenda. He's not going to come to you in an evil way. He's going to come to you and be like, I can help if you want the help. And it's like, I don't know if I want that help. Guy with a goatee smiling at me strangely.
Most of y'all will be familiar with this general idea, but Faust is one of the relatively older stories about interacting with the negative supernatural, about like selling your soul
Selling
for
your soul
knowledge,
yeah.
or for power, and how it's sort of the like the prototypical kind of bargaining evil that will get you to like sign on the dotted line, and you're just like, ooh, yes, but I do want that thing. As told in many plays from the Taliesin Jaffe era.
So
And
in
television shows.
in Triumph and Torment,
Children
what
of
you
Princess
have,
Sabrina.
it opens with every 100 years, there is a tournament held to determine who is the rightful Sorcerer Supreme for our plane of our plane of existence. And of course, Doctor Strange, being the Sorcerer Supreme, is summoned to this to test his mettle against all the other powerful sorcerers on Earth. Doctor Doom being one of them, and everyone's like, Doctor Doom, and
Hey, don't sleep on Doctor Doom as Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, exactly. And the Vishanti are like, fuck all y'all. Yeah, Doctor Doom. Like, where are you really questioning the eternal Vishanti? Don't do that. Contest comes out, and it comes down to Strange and Doom. Doctor Strange wins, and then they say, as part of your mantle as the Sorcerer Supreme, you must now offer a boon, whatever one of these other people want. And the only, like, it basically says, whoever else is left standing, one of them who is the most deserving gets you. Like, you're now their slave for this one thing. And they're like, well, everyone else fell except for Doctor Doom. So Doctor Doom is literally the only person that you can grant a boon to. And Stranger's like, no, I will renounce Sorcerer Supreme before I do that. I don't trust this man. And Doctor Doom is like, just hear me out. My mother made a deal with Mephisto when I was a child. And he won, and he took her soul to hell. I want to save my mom. That's all I want. I want you to train me to withstand hell and to go with me to help me save my mother. And Strange is like,
well, damn.
well, now I'm the asshole.
Yeah, it's like,
So they go to Latveria, and Doctor Strange sees that everyone in Latveria actually really loves Doctor Doom, and he's like, but you're a dictator. He's like, I'm a dictator to the rest of the world, but to my people, I am beloved. You know, in this book, he more or less is. But you get the origin story, a bit of an origin story for Doctor Doom, and how his mother made a deal with Mephisto to help create a country for the Romani people. And that's the entire reason she made this deal with Mephisto. And then when she went and actually acted upon it, it was way more than she thought. Mephisto's like, you didn't really listen very well, so now you're dead, come with me. And that impacted Doctor Doom for the rest of his life. Like, that's where Doctor Doom became Doctor Doom, was because he was like, oh, I'm going to take Mephisto down, and I'm going to save my mom. His entire life has been leading to this. And then they go to hell. And if you'll remember earlier in the episode, we mentioned the word harrowing. That is a harrowing of hell. It is the entrance in hell to for the purpose of saving one person's soul. That's a harrowing. So Harrow. But it's filled with fantastic visuals. The story's wonderful. It'll take you maybe an hour to read. It's not very long. And you get a great example of how amazing Mephisto is as a villain. Like, there's one panel in here where he's just like standing above them, just watching them fight. And he's like, yes, these are good fighters. And like, you can see them just like, they are dying, like as hard as they are fighting. They are fighting hard. And he's just like standing above them like, yes, amusing. You also get like you get like a new backstory for Doctor Strange a little bit. Like he fools all of them. Anyway, I can't really find it. Oh, no, that's not it. Anyway, sorry, blah, 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 blah. You guys, here it is. Like, look at he's just chilling. He's just up here, just chilling on his throne. He's just like, and they're down here like fighting like these giant.
It's a beautiful use of scale for the storytelling there.
Yeah, like, I can't really see it very well there, but. Anyway, yeah, go. It took me a while to find this book, but I finally found it online.
And I think there may be a new edition of this that's in print again. It's not all nice and magazine size like that, but.
And you might possibly be able to find it on Marvel Unlimited.
I think you can actually. I'm pretty sure it's there, but this is like.
Future.
This is.
Yeah, most of my stuff is ebooks. Thank gosh.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is
my
like
room is a disaster with all of my comics. They're in stacks. I've started to, and they're not in order. They're by genre, and they're not in order. Sorry, you don't need to know that. Why did
Chaos.
Yeah, it's just
a demon's
chaos.
going to appear to you tonight and offer you a deal for the perfect organized room.
I'd be like, no, no,
no.
I will do it myself. With great clutter comes the great cleaning.
Anyway, classic Doctor Strange, classic Mephisto.
Excellent.
Yes.
So there's a lot of other characters that fit into this. We talked about Faust a bit, so there's you'll see tributes to that all over comics. We've got Felix Faust and Dr. Faustus and a million other takes on that directly.
Dr. Fate.
What's Dr. Fate's deal?
Oh, well, okay, so Dr. Fate is like, let's just say it's like a mask of great power,
helm?
but it's like, it's a helm. Thank you. It's not just a mask.
I got
It's
your
this-
words.
Yeah, it's actually pretty gorgeous. Well, in any case, like once you put on this helm, you're making a Faustian deal. You're trading your autonomy for this great power. And usually, when characters wind up, doing that, like. Putting on the helm, like for instance, Zatanna's done it. There's been a number of characters that have done it. It's like you are taken over you become Dr. Fate, basically. But whatever the great, the great challenge that you actually had to put on that helm, then yeah, Dr. Fate takes care of that for you, and then, well, there's no going back. He has to let you go, and he doesn't let things go. So, yeah, it's a real big deal. It's a real big deal, but
It's a DC
really
Universe classic character that's had
Yeah.
a number of people under the helm.
Cool. Exactly. Yeah, and you can also, I think that's in. I think they did that in Young Justice, like the original in
The cartoon?
the cartoon. I think
They did.
They did in Young
And
Justice.
it was great.
Yeah, I forget the name of the episode, but it was this whole thing where you had, oh God, I forget the name of the character, but had put together this whole like satanic star and like chanted and everything, and did like this whole dimensional thing where it was like, I think it was this thing where did it involve Shazam, where it's like it made all the adults disappear, and then like just the kids were on one. I might be mixing my. I hope I'm not mixing my episodes.
I haven't seen Injustice, so I'm just.
It's amazing.
It
is so much better than it has any right to be. It is so good.
I'm very certain that it was the one where it's like adults disappeared on one world, and then like the kids disappeared on the other, and then you see each side of it where it's like, what in the world happened? Like the adult only side is just like, hey, all of our kids disappeared, and the kids are like, where did the adults go?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So then
it's
you
like
have
a parallel.
Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not Young Justice. Maybe it was Teen Titans.
Okay.
Oh goodness, I watch so many things, but it's really good. I'm gonna have to Google this myself. And Billy Batson's the only one that really discovers what's going on because
because the same thing happens to him essentially.
Exactly. Well, when he's Shazam, he's in one of the worlds, and then when he's Billy, he's in the other. So he's the communicating factor between
Oh my
the two of
God,
them.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah. So
Because if
such
you're
a
familiar
good.
with Shazam, aka Captain Marvel, we're going to do an episode on that at some point. But he is like a different kind of. He becomes someone very different when he becomes the superhero, and the same thing happens where this like spirit takes you over when you put on the helmet of Dr. Fate. Except I guess Billy Batson is still Billy Batson.
It depends on the version of him that they're writing. Although now I want
Depends on
to
the
see
writer.
some weird take where like someone gets convinced that he's just possessed by something, where it's just like, sure, big hero.
Yeah, I don't remember why I went into that, but
But it's interesting that you brought up the Teen Titans because they have one of my favorite story arcs involving a demon, and that is Trigon. Is it Trigon?
Trigon.
I've always said Trigon.
Raven's
Raven's pops.
Raven's Padre de Raven.
God, what
The
issues
Terror
is
of
it?
Trigon from the rebooted New
There it
Teen
is,
Titans in
the Terror of
1984.
Trigon, where Trigon kind of wins over Raven, and she becomes hyper demonic, and so Trigon has 4 eyes. I know I pulled some images for it, but he is a demon,
2 on each side.
a gigantic demon character who has 4 eyes. And in this particular arc, there we go.
Yeah.
Yay!
Real
and that's
scary.
and that's Raven, and the blue. That's his daughter, but that's in her demonic form.
He would
Yeah.
also be a tough cosplay, I am noticing.
Very tough. Yes.
I would totally see that in real life, though. If anybody wants to
If
do
anyone
that,
wants to do that.
if anybody wants to do that, I mean
Now accepting volunteers.
that, and I like when people.
All
do
right,
Kratos.
Markeia, I'll get to work on it.
But so he's got his own whole dimension going on, and it's bad news.
Yeah, so like Trigon is like arguably like I would make the argument that Trigon could take on Mephisto and win. Like as strong as Mephisto is, even Dormammu, I think Trigon would be like, okay. Like I think he might be a good fight with Dormammu, but I think Trigon still wins. Like Trigon is like, he's defeated entire dimensions. He's absorbed all those dimensions into him, and he's always hungry for more and more souls. That's another thing about demons is they tend to want souls. I don't even know why. Like they just like souls power them in some capacity.
Or they must be like real tasty, you know.
Yeah, like chocolate.
Like
Yeah.
creme brulee tasty.
They end up reading as sort of like
Crack the sugar on the top.
They're-
Sorry.
Soul inside.
I like it, but that version of sort of demonic entities, and this crosses over a lot with like Japanese folklore, where they sort of end up reading as just very specialized kind of natural world predators, but on a supernatural level. Like wander into woods, bear might eat you.
I like that.
Wander into supernatural woods, demon eats your soul.
Yeah.
Like it's just sort of these like hazards of the universe.
Yeah.
Of like just assuming that something is out there and it might want to eat you.
It's the
which is a
natural order
basic
of
fact of
things.
human life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like expanded to another level of like, well, they're just they're just hungry.
You know, I
just
love
hungry.
that because then it's just like, because think of it, like we're on the top of the food chain, and then that's one of the reasons with like horror can be so effective, especially supernatural horror, or like Jaws is so effective because you go into, the ocean, you go into its home and then you become like underneath it. So then I really like that where it's like, oh, who else can hurt us? other humans, but I can see them coming, be like, oh, can you see this demon coming? This demon that's whispering in your ear. So I kind of like that.
And there's a whole other side to the terror of that, because it's like, if this demon is going to come and like rip me apart, I understand that. But this demon is going to come and rip my soul from my body? Like, what does that even mean? Like,
Yeah,
what,
it's like somebody
makes me
sat
think
around
of-
thinking, what would be worse than being physically eaten? Oh, forever eating
yeah,
with the spirit.
being forever
Yeah.
eaten and
over
feeling
and
that
over
pain.
again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like this, the terror of Trigon is the story of how Trigon comes to Earth with the like using the power of like Raven is able to help like channel him onto the earthly plane. Then he uses her to help defeat the Titans because they were the only ones not affected by him coming to Earth.
Oh yeah, the disco teen
Yeah,
Titan.
right. No, this is like early on Titans.
Yeah.
But then there's
that
an
Wonder Girl
image
like-
somewhere in there of how like the Justice League was taken on. Like, so Trigon comes out and he beats everyone. He's just like, all right, you're all done. And like he like withers all of their bodies into like these terrifying, creepy masses. Where like there's Superman. I think it might be Doom Patrol, Batman down there, Wonder Woman. Like, Trigon just wins. He just wins. And the Teen Titans are all that's left. Like Superman, Trigon's like, yeah, I got your soul. And what that ends up equating to is they're all fighting their inner demons. And you don't see like Superman or anything else, but see here you've got Nightwing with his inner demon next to him, and you got Cyborg with his inner demon next to him, and Changeling and Donna. But they, like, their inner demons are Nightwing's is you let Batman die, and Jason Todd is a terrible Robin, and this is all your fault. Cyborg's is you're a monster. You're never gonna be human. Look at you. You're more metal and plastic than you are human. And like Donna's like, you should never have left home. Like, why would you do that? Like, and now like your Thermopolis is fallen, like good, or Themyscira has fallen. Good work. So like they're fighting these demons, and that's where they're stuck for eternity unless they can find a way out of it. And that's so they win the day, whatever. I'm not going to tell you how because it's really super cool.
But it's well worth the read.
But oh my God, that's one of the things that's so fun about demons is like their stories are fucking epic.
They have
Like
stakes.
they are
Yeah.
they are metal. Like look at this. Like come on. And then you like have that where he's like, yeah, now like Superman, you're weathered to a pillar. Now I own you. Now like there's giant fire and it's cosmic and it's just explosive and
And
so
it is
fun.
a thing that you just
Love
accept in
it.
comics where, like, if you were reading a Superman book, the whole story would be about how that happened, but you're not. You're reading a Teen Titans book. So, like, that's just something you eventually come to accept where it's...
And it's Marv Wolfman and Perez, and it's just amazing. Like,
Wolfman
I
and
love
Perez
it.
together, yes.
God,
It's sort
so
of the
good.
capper to their
God,
original run on
is-
Teen Titans.
Is that the one where they introduced? Oh God, I forget the character's name, but he's the one that can he
Jericho?
can control you. Jericho, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think he gets introduced just before this arc, but
Yeah,
this is
like
they're
they're
doing
doing-
as a team member, kind of from a debuting-ish.
Yeah, where they kind of do it where it's just like he's just like, oh yeah, there's this Jericho's in there now, and he actually kind of warns them a little bit because I feel like he sees that there's something wrong with Raven, and then
It's like, hey, something's up with your friend.
yeah, and he
Yeah.
tries to help, and then he like sees like this hellscape that's going on. He's like, oh, and he tries to warn, but it's
It's
what are you
too
gonna
late.
do?
It's too late. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not as familiar with that character, but that he is in this in that storyline. Yeah.
Yeah, I like how demons are so quick to win the day, or temporarily win the day by turning us against ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like one of the things that I saw, I know you want to talk. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
But
no,
one
but
of
it's
the
like
things.
you haven't done any of yours.
No, I'm having
I
so
keep
much
on,
fun.
I keep
I have
on
like a
grabbing.
list, and we're
one of
hitting
the-
a lot
Yeah.
of them. So
What's that?
I have a list, and we're hitting a lot.
Oh,
of them.
great.
Yeah, because now I'm like, oh
One of
yeah,
the-
inner
One
demons.
of the things that I really liked about this is, so just to let everyone, like into my head, like the last couple of days, like I had like some pretty rough brain days. And as I was revisiting that story actually helped me out a little bit because I was like, oh, they're fighting their inner demons. And like the voices of those inner demons saying like, you're never going to amount to anything. You're not going to measure up to this, or this awful thing that happened, that's your fault. Like those were all voices that I had in my head, as my lovely wife Brittany would say, like the lies that the like, sort of like chemical depression gives you. And I was like, oh, this is actually really interesting commentary on depression and fighting that inner voice that tells you how everything is your fault, or you won't amount to this or that, or you're never going to measure up. And instead of like letting that beat you, but like fighting back. So there was an element of like, yeah, I'm going to fight back. Yeah, Cyborg, yeah. So anyway.
I do actually have, that's too good a segue not to use. One of my out there things I had to throw on the pile today is that there are two works that are interestingly relevant to this topic, but come from sort of the indie side of comics. One is, and I've read excerpts of this, but I haven't read the whole book. But one of my favorite cartoonists is Linda Barry. She does these sketchbook style sort of. She's incredible at translating ideas into visuals. So that's a lot of her works are just sort of like weird, just visual essays that make you think differently. She also does traditional comic strips. She was published in alt weeklies a lot in the 80s and 90s, and she's sort of a classic cartoonist from that side. But she, at one point, did a project called 100 Demons, where she was inspired by a Japanese scroll about, here, the example she saw was a hand scroll painted by a Zen monk named Hakuin Akaku in 16th century Japan. That was about like 100 demons chasing after each other, and something about the idea that everyone would have to battle 100 demons. And so she started writing stories from her life, fictionalized stories from her life, as being like, here's the first demon is this one job I had, and she tells a story about it. So here's an example of her style.
This is cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I love this artist very much. There we go. Yeah. She makes it look very loose and hand-done. So this guy, I.B.A. Demon, with The Art of Torment on his book, says, I can assure you that scroll was not painted on yellow legal paper. So it's insulting her style as she does this. And here's one of the opening pages. There's 100 Demons by Linda Barry. So she's an incredible storyteller and artist, but I think unless I have my wires crossed, it could be a coincidence, but I believe here's today's demon, my first job. It's one of those sort of messy styles, but intentional and so effective. It's all sort of collage-y. I believe it was part of the inspiration for one of my favorite cartoonists, Lucy Bellwood, did a project last year called 100 Demons. That was a 100-day cartooning project where each day she did a new one-panel cartoon illustrating all of her little voices, but talking back to them in most cases.
Okay.
Great.
So
I'm listening.
They're all things, almost immediately it's sort of like, people only like you because you're doing this. And then people the next day would be like, people will never like you because you do too much of that. So you get some examples. I pulled this one just because it was funny. Her demon going, it's me, your inbox.
Oh, no.
Oh my God.
That was day 5.
Yeah.
And then day 7, you'll never learn to say no. Hey now, I turned down that panel on Monday, didn't I? Baby steps. Followed by, you said no too much, we're gonna die destitute and alone. Well, I don't know what I was expecting. The next day.
But I like that she's like meditating in that one. Like that was kind of fun.
This one hit me pretty hard. It's just her looking at her phone.
It's like news.
What if we can't stop it?
Oh yeah.
Blarg.
And
Blargle.
Your indecision is going to drive everyone away. Oh man.
That was demon number 37. And it's just a beautiful little series.
Yeah.
They have a book of it now, and they eventually, people started sharing them enough. You can get the little plushy demon now. And I don't want to spoil, there's sort of a tiny arc that she takes with her demon over time, where every once in a while she's comforting it instead, even though it's whispering all of these panic thoughts at her every day. She's just a wonderful cartoonist, very expressive. She's really into boats. So if you love boats, you need to check out her literally just a book about sailing on tall ships and rigging and ropes and all of it. She just loves boats.
It actually feels, just you describing that, I'm like, that sounds satisfying.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Lucy Bellwood, 100 Demon Dialogues.
Bellwood.
Bellwood.
I just had to bring up because she's done a very literal interpretation of your inner demons, or in her case, that inner demon. And she just had to do it every day to be like, what is it saying to me today? What can I put online? illustrating that constant fight.
Yeah, I like the concept of it, of confronting your demon. It's not like it is with like, oh, Mephisto, or
like
it's like
very literally.
Yeah,
like that's
where
more
it's
of
just
like
but like this huge like epic battle. I'm gonna take you on. Where it's just like no, it's like drops of water. Was it water always beats the mountain kind of a thing? Where it's just like a constant. It's every day. It's everyday confrontation, and it's like. Even confrontation is like a stronger term than what I mean. I guess just because it's...
The way I always put it is like you're never gonna like beat your demons. You can only learn to manage them. That's the way I see it. Like that's how I work with myself. Like I'm like, all right, there goes that demon again. All right, and I'm just gonna let him say his thing. All right, now listen, stop. I'm not a failure. Please stop saying it. So, and speaking back to the lies, I think that's the way my wife would put it is. Your brain is lying to you. Tell it to stop lying. Listen to the lies and know that they're lies. So do that, audience. That has
Yeah, you
always
can read
good
these
to do
online, or
that.
you can get the book. And I love them very
By
much.
the way, we are remiss to have failed to have mentioned thus far. Please get us your 5-minute topics. You remember our 5-minute topic, right?
Yes,
dear?
where we just like talk about whatever the fun
Whatever.
question
Well,
is.
yeah.
Whatever
So make
nonsense
sure.
y'all have for us today.
Yeah.
So make sure
whatever
you
the
get
fun
those
question
into us.
is. Cool.
What else? So you have
Yeah, I have a
Suicide
couple.
Squad that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, but I kind of like because we're talking about these the everyday demon kind of a thing, and one of the things, because I did like a panel for Los Angeles Comic-Con where it's like a Green Lantern debate, and
That's cool.
yeah, and it was just like
It was
all of us.
who is the greatest Green Lantern?
Yeah,
Or-
who's the greatest Green Lantern, and then why, and then I liked it because it was more of a focus on okay, what makes your Green Lantern great, as
Sure.
opposed to your Green Lantern sucks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
More of a positive angle.
Yeah, more of a positive angle, and then it went different places. Spoiler alert, because it was a live panel, so actually no,
Reality
non-spoiler.
spoilers. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds won.
Oh my God.
Wait, what?
Actual
Ryan
or
Reynolds,
his version
the
of Hal?
actor,
Okay.
won as the greatest Green Lantern out of this against like Hal Jordan, against Kyle Rayner. It was a fun decision. It was a fun decision. I know you look like
He's not a Green Lantern.
I guess he is. I hear he
it
does
was a
seem
fun
like he
thing.
possesses great willpower.
That is true.
Where it's like
that is true.
It was the deciding thing was that he managed to come out of the other side of Green Lantern, was killed by Deadpool, but still managed to have a very positive and good career after that. So it's like that use of willpower, that use of learning from your mistakes, and I'm actually putting a lot of words into the person's mouth because he was just having fun with it.
Yeah.
And we kept on being like, Ryan Reynolds did this too, kind of a thing.
That's
You're
really
egging him
fun.
on.
So
Nice.
yeah, because it was fun. It was super fun. But the Green Lantern that I chose was Jessica Cruz.
Yeah.
Newer. She's newer.
She's like the last 5 years even.
Yeah, she's Rebirth, right? Like it was like 52, and then like she was.
I think she was part
before
of
that.
52, right?
Yeah.
But she takes over the title with Simon at Rebirth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're a team, and they're actually a really good team, and I like that her and Boz. And then of course very real possibility in 2020 we're gonna have Green Lantern Corps with the two of them. So, but
That would be amazing.
that would be so amazing. The reason why that going from Bellwood made me think of Jessica Cruz. Like those that aren't familiar with Jessica Cruz's Green Lantern. So her kind of origin thing, she was like hunting with friends. Mobsters were involved, ended up killing her friends. She was a survivor. She has survivor guilt with that, and then like PTSD, like terrorized kind of a thing. She ends up developing agoraphobia, and then she locks herself in her house for 3 years. And the only real reason that she ends up being able to get past that, or being forced to get past that, is that a Green Lantern ring comes to her, but it's not like, okay, it's possessed by Volthoom. So it's like a possessed power ring that
I love
then
comics so
I
much.
know comics are.
I love
they're
comics so much.
Yeah.
So the Green Lantern power ring comes to her, but it's possessed by Volthoom.
This is
Because
like after
normally the ring comes to you because it's chosen you because you're worthy to bear it for your sector.
And see, the thing of it
And
is,
I'm not
that
making
she
fun
is.
of you, by the way.
No,
Like,
I know
just
you're
like,
not.
oh my God, I love comics
Yeah,
so much. They're
yeah.
so insane and over the top and the best thing ever. So,
Yeah, because one of the
please
things.
continue to continue.
Because one of the things with Green Lanterns is that, like, yeah, you know, we say willpower because, you know, like the yellow one is fear and, you know, red is hate and so on and so forth. But with this, like, why it's attracted to her is because she has all this great fear that she is confronting, that she is trying to get over. She has like anxiety attacks, like nobody's business. This is one of the reasons that I really love her, is because it's like, okay, so, you know, the possessed ring comes to her. She goes out into the world constantly fighting anxiety, while also trying to, because the ring is like controlling her. So she's trying to overcome that, overcome her anxiety, and still doing the right thing. Like, there's this whole thing, like Batman trains her, Hal Jordan trains her. There's this whole thing with like Darkseid's daughter and her taking her on. I mean, it's, more than...
It was issue 15 was one of the ones that was like a solo story about her like having an anxiety attack. Like, it was, because I read that one because I hadn't been following it, and somebody, I think, Daisy recommended like just looking at 15, and it knocked my socks off. It's just like a standalone story about dealing with anxiety being a Green Lantern, which I love.
Wow.
It's
I need to read that.
It's wonderful. It's a modern take on, like, because when Hal Jordan got invented, and there's nothing wrong with this other view, but it was sort of this idea that like that courage or willpower was the opposite of fear. That was sort of the idea of like, and then over time, like when Jeff Johns made the Yellow Lanterns like officially fear-based, or when he expanded them into a core, I can't remember he added the other colors of the rainbow, but I can't remember whether it was already fear. It must have been by the time he got there. Anyway, as the Green Lantern mythos grew, it's sort of this perfect, inevitable realization of like the way we think of it now, like the ability to overcome great fear. If you don't feel fear, you don't have that.
Well, she constantly. What I like are the different ways that they show that anxiety isn't. It's this really big thing, as in. For instance, I didn't have any anxiety coming on this, but let's say that I did, where it's just like, oh, I'm coming on the Wednesday Club. I've done it before. Oh, will I be okay? You know, will I do it right? You know, that kind of thing. Maybe I didn't have any anxiety, but maybe I had anxiety about something small. Like, it could be like, oh, hey, we're having coffee. You know, both of us are having coffee. You want coffee, right? What coffee you want? And be like, oh God, I don't want coffee, but I should because they're having coffee. And it's like,
I wish that weren't so relatable.
You know, it could be like a small thing like that, and it can freeze you in your tracks. And I really enjoy how they explore that journey with Jessica Cruz. And
That's
I was
really
just saying,
cool.
Like inner demons, that kind of a thing.
Yeah,
and a real demon, Volthoom. I mean, which I guess, demon, yeah.
But yeah, like I have like I'll have any given day, I have like some element of social anxiety, and sometimes it's like worse. Sometimes it's like, all right, I can manage this, but other times it's like debilitating, where it's like, I cannot leave my office to go talk to anybody right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's too much. It's too much. So I'm going to say the wrong thing, or I'm going to do something stupid, or I'm going to try and make a joke and fall flat on my face. Yeah, so.
It's a absolute
Manage
thing.
those demons, daisies.
And then this one, if you wanna read this one, it's God, I never know issues. Issue 47, Ghosts of the Past. And this particular one, you have Singularity Jane get a hold of the Justice League and like suck them in with their fears. Like, Batman's incapacitated. She takes out Batman. She takes out Wonder Woman. Cyborg is taken out. John Constantine helps. John Constantine's in here, obviously. He ends up helping out him and Jessica Cruz's sister, who has no powers. You know, so I brought this one because I was really feeling this. Yeah, and then of course Simon Baz kind of helps out a bit too. So, but yeah, pretty cool cover. And everything, I think a nice little you see it.
You can see it. So we should also mention that demons can sometimes make great heroes.
Any particular examples we might want to?
Well, there are two. There is Hellboy by Mike Mignola, who
Of course.
did this as well.
Please see, if you haven't, last year's Hellboy episode, we had so much fun with Liam.
Mr. Liam O'Brien, who's a huge Hellboy fan, had never read BPRD until we talked about it, and then he probably went home and read all of the BPRD within a month. Because that's the kind of guy Liam O'Brien is. But Hellboy is, we've already talked about it, but just to revisit, is a demon from hell. He's he's the firstborn son, I believe, of one of the higher devils, not VVV devil, but he's destined to take over hell at some point. But he spends the entire lifespan of these comics fighting that destiny because he doesn't want to take over hell. He doesn't want to end the earth. He doesn't want to end the world. He actually wants to save it. And he's constantly fighting that battle. And I actually think that demons, in that way, make very interesting protagonists. Like, more so than even someone like Doctor Strange, who's like, I'm a human fighting for good. It's like, you're a demon fighting for good. Like, that's against your nature. Like, you're fighting against your very nature. And there's such a fun metaphor for that, for humanity. It's like, there's that metaphor of I'm a big fan of saying that religion, just in general, like Christianity or Judaism or Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, whatever, religion in some ways is this attempt to bring us from this primitive, primal, kill each other sort of nature that is intrinsic in sort of just biological animalistic life, and to say, no, higher consciousness, let's love each other, let's get along with each other, let's create a community to help each other. So there's this interesting dualistic sort of nature to a demon as a protagonist, where it's
Yeah.
sorry, I'm just getting lost in my own thoughts. But it's an interesting metaphor for what it's like to be a human and to fight against I guess what Christianity would refer to as original sin. To have that animalistic nature inside of you, this primitive, I want to murder everybody sort of primal instinct in the back of your head that you're like, no, maybe don't do that.
Well, it's interesting because it's another side of we've talked a lot about inner demons, the ones that sort of are you attacking yourself, but there's the other side of the capacity that humans have to hurt others is sort of and obviously there's a whole secondary thing where if you're hurting yourself, it does hurt others, and that's because we're all part of connected. But that sort of other, that's I think one of the reasons that it can be so rich to follow someone who's just if someone who was told by the universe, you were designed for this, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to break things, and for them to be but what if no? It's the Iron Giant. It's I'm not a gun.
Yeah.
It essentially that's
Yeah. I love you.
It's kind of a Hellboy story in that sense, where
it
it's
is.
just I'm going to choose to be this other thing. Where I guess it's also a Frankenstein story of sort of I have this capacity for violence. There's something like that, but I'm going to choose, in that case, sort of permanent exile is my pacifist's way of I'll never be accepted in this world, and I'm capable of too much evil. So that's all these different ways that story can go. But who's going to talk about Etrigan? Because I feel it's coming, right?
I mean, Etrigan has to be mentioned. So
go for it.
No. I haven't read a lot of Etrigan. One of my favorite things about Etrigan is Jack Kirby creation. That has to be mentioned. And by the way, Jack Kirby didn't want to create him.
Did you read the introduction in the?
I didn't, but I knew that you would, which is why I didn't. I was like, oh, Amy's our intro girl. She'll have this one locked down.
Don't skip the introduction.
No, don't.
Y'all.
Don't.
Mark
I just didn't have time.
literally goes, here's how it was created, and I know because I was there eating a turkey sandwich. This is how the introduction to the Jack Kirby The Demon Collection opens.
Oh my God, amazing.
Because he was Kirby's assistant at this time. So Kirby had to deal with DC. He was in the middle of doing Fourth World. He had left Marvel. It's the early 70s, and his Fourth World books are going strong. And there's sort of a long story to it that you'll get if you read that introduction, where essentially he was loving doing the Fourth World books, but he wanted to try out sort of editing and having other people putting a new hat on. He was obviously very popular as a writer and artist and loved controlling his own stuff, but he thought that would be cool. So essentially, DC was like, well, throw us some pitches. And long story short, he came up with 2 pitches, and they were like, we like them so much, we're canceling 2 of your other books, and you have to write and draw these now because they're too good, and we don't want anyone else messing them up. And he was like, that is not what I had in mind.
That's not the way this was supposed to go.
But I guess we're doing this. And it was Commandy and the demon.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. Commandi? Really?
Commandy was, it came out, according to this introduction from Mark Evanier, it was when they were sort of throwing around stuff. It's the early 70s.
Yeah.
And Carmine Infantino, the head of DC at that time, was sort of like, well, you know, like, have you got anything sort of Planet of the Apes-y? There have been several of those. They make a lot of money. Have you got anything in that vein? And Kirby was like, Commandy in an entire world of animal people and like all of this, you know, I'm the Jack Kirby version.
Yeah.
Like, completely enthralling and original, but obviously like very clearly you can be
Planet of
like,
the
yeah,
Apes,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And so he plotted that one out, and then they were sort of like, do you have anything kind of supernatural? And this was interesting to me. That sorry, we're on a thing now.
No.
Essentially, one of the things Evanier says is that Etrigan, who is now one of his signature creations, beloved by all of us, was not in Kirby's wheelhouse. He loved his sci-fi. He loved his gods. He loved war stories. He loved all of this stuff that he did. But it's an interesting interpretation that Evanier talks about here, where he found, because it's the early 70s, so Swamp Thing's getting invented, horror's having a big revival. DC's not really sure if superheroes are going to be the thing, and they're trying to keep all their options open. And
the comics code had relaxed in 72, 73, right?
Something around this period.
Horror things are a little more acceptable now. So like there was a giant horror push, like Ghost Rider comes out, Swamp Thing comes out.
House of Mystery and House of Secrets
House
are
of
doing
Mystery,
gangbusters.
yep.
Yeah.
They're telling all these stories, but sort of the way Evanier tells it, Kirby didn't respond to the stories which were sort of about the like inevitability of death. Like, you know, especially those anthology stories are sort of like, here's how everything goes wrong. And so what he says in the introduction that I really love is that he and others, on reading Jack Kirby's The Demon, when you have him work in this supernatural realm, what you get instead of stories about sort of like the tragic inevitability of death is you get stories about people who are just going to fight it until they literally can't anymore. You get like scrapping Jack Kirby of being like, well, you know, maybe that's going to happen, but we'll see.
But it's not going to happen now.
You know?
Not today.
And it's that because he's such a fighter. So it's sort of like supernatural stories that are full of life. And it's so weird that should be in this, like, with the demon as a protagonist. And the basic setup that I stole here. Like,
No, you didn't steal it.
No.
There's no stealing here.
So the idea is essentially, it goes back to Merlin days, that there was a demon that he summoned up to sort of protect him in the final moments of Camelot. And then once Camelot falls, there's sort of this the demon gets trapped in a man's body and waits and waits and waits many years to be awakened by reading this particular rhyme, which ends, gone the form of man, arise the demon Etrigan. It would be later writers who would make Etrigan always speak in rhyme, which we all kind of love.
Yeah.
But definitely
I think it was
necessarily
Alan Moore in Swamp Thing who established. No, am I wrong?
Probably, I don't remember. That sounds like a
I was
thing.
like,
If it isn't, it should be.
Yeah, I think it is because I know Alan Moore had him rhyming all throughout that. I know I pulled a couple just because I was like, I love the rhymes.
Oh, but the other thing I learned from that introduction that I love very much, and if I have the picture, because I did not know this, is that Kirby designed his look as what he thought at the time would be sort of an obvious reference for all kind of comic art nerds, because they all had this really distinct memory of Hal Foster's Prince Valiant.
That's what I was.
Did you pull the image? Because I have it on the iPad if you didn't.
I did not, but I remember that Etrigan is based on Prince Valiant. And Horrid Yellow.
There is a story where Prince Valiant is hiding, needs a disguise. So he kills, I think, a goose, and he like makes a weird mask out of the goose's skin, and wears it as his disguise. And essentially, and Mark Evanier says this in his intro too, like he was sort of like, hey, everybody who was reading Prince Valiant, which was everybody, remembers this one really striking storyline.
Weird, yeah.
From decades ago at this point. So it was sort of like a tip of the hat reference to this like image that Kirby probably assumed either like a lot of people would recognize. And of course, to us now, we're like, hey, this guy just looks like Etrigan. He's just got weird goose feet for ears. So that was really fun because I had no idea that it contains that link to the history of cartooning from comic strips from that side, which were, it's easy for us to forget that first half of the 20th century, those were like the dominant form of comics art in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So here's like so he comes to be known as a rhyming demon. He comes from like this sort of like chorus of angels, sort of like battalion or type of demon called a rhyming demon, and is like he has to speak in rhyme essentially. And I think it's Alan Moore who does it in Swamp Thing. But here, just as an example of the way Etrigan talks, I pulled this poem. I am the one who comes to cage the ape. So first of all, he's fighting like an ape that is taken, like this demon that has taken the shape of an ape that is tormenting this orphan child. So that's why he says ape. I am the one who comes to cage the ape. I pay no heed to youth or purity. I'll roast each fool that aids the beast's escape and drink their health tonight in purgatory. Innocence, why to hear the tale they tell, you'd think there was no guilty child in hell. Feast, jackanape, eat hearty while you can. Upon your necks, the breath of Etrigan. And then he like leaps through the window and goes to save the boy.
Which is basically iambic pentameter.
Yeah. But what's interesting is like he is later written to be like yes, he has the iambic pentameter that he's doing there. But then he also later on is doing couplets and like very quick like little like you know. I can't remember why am I like. Oh my God, why am I forgetting what kind of poem it's called? Anyway, like heroic couplets essentially.
Is it quatrains? No.
No, it's like a
I don't remember.
limerick. He speaks in limericks every once in a while. That's the word I was looking for. Like I read some other stuff. I was like, why is he speaking in limericks? He was just speaking in iambic. Yeah, whatever. They all rhyme.
So essentially, he is a demon who most often is on the side of good, like out there, they're scrapping for innocent souls and fighting other monsters and things like that. But Jason Blood is an ordinary human who's sort of bound to him forever. And that becomes a really fun part of the DC universe from 73 on out. So thanks, Kirby. I'm really sorry that you canceled your other books.
One of the
But you can see him in Cursed Cavalcade 1.
Oh, man,
where
that looks so good.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet.
Is it out? It's good. It's out. Yeah. It's super good. They have a Jason Blood story in there, and it's at the very beginning. So there's where it's like, he manages to get Etrigan out, but that's not necessarily a good thing because Etrigan he's not going to stay. He's not going to stay where he's put. So he takes over somebody else and. You very much are able to tell, like, yes, he'll go after baddies, no matter where he is, and it's a good story. It is. There's a lot of really good stories in there. Like there was
a one-shot that came out a couple weeks ago that was a bunch of short stories from DC called Cursed Comics Cavalcade.
Yes, number one.
That's cool. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, no, it's super
catch
good.
up.
They have one in Superman, talk about dealing with inner demons and
I'm listening.
Yeah, he has night terrors.
Superman?
Superman. He has night terrors. He almost ends up, setting his place in Lois Lane on fire because of his night terrors.
Oh my God!
And then
that's
it's like
so
he has
cool.
that's one of the ones in there. They have a Swamp Thing story also in there where it's like if the shoe was on the other foot, like how nobody helped Alan, but it's Alec. Yeah. Nobody helped Alec, and it's. Perhaps there's somebody that might be in the situation that he was in. And there's that kind of thing. And there's a Batman story in there, obviously. There's always going to be a Batman story.
There's got to be a Batman story. There's always a Batman story.
I also
with
love
Gorehound.
the title that they chose for that is, of course, a reference to Canceled Comics Cavalcade. And it's like, I love DC doing, like, deep DC cuts where they're like, this isn't going to make sense, but this is how people find out, like, about the cool history of comics.
But it's worth a read.
One of the things that Alan Moore also, so like Jack, I mean, come on, like Alan Moore is amazing. Like he helped rewrite a lot of the mythology for Swamp Thing. Like Lynn Wein comes up with with Bernie Wrightson, but then Alan Moore's like, yeah, but what if we like redefine kind of what Swamp Thing actually is, what that actually means, and what his character actually is, and brings him like updates him in a way. It's like, okay, now he fits more in like with the modern age of comics and what we're doing. And this is only like 10 years after he was created, but like things were shifting in a different direction at that point, thanks to Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns and all. So he does something very similar with Etrigan in the Swamp Things, and this is like the denouement to that actual story, but he adds to it and says, Swamp Thing's girlfriend, whose name I'm forgetting.
Abby Arcane.
Abby, thank you, is talking with Jason Blood, and she's essentially figured out, you're also Etrigan. Like, I don't know how, but you are. And he's admitting it, and he says, it hasn't always been this way. Once we were very different, our psyches constantly at war. We struck a bargain, a spiritual compromise. We would grow more like each other. There would be a balance. And that's where Etrigan, the character of Etrigan is introduced, where the sort of like hunger, justful anger, righteous anger, sort of like a bit of bloodlust starts to seep into Jason Blood a little bit, so that he as a character is not this like valiant knight of the round table anymore. He's a bit tarnished
Yeah, I like
because of him.
I like my paladins a little dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like a dirty paladin?
Dirty
That sounds like a
paladins.
really good drink.
Yes.
Hey, barkeep, I'll have a dirty paladin. Coming right up, mister. But Etrigan, in return, is supposed to become a little bit more like Jason Blood, a little more valiant, a little more brave, a little more caring, except that it's not really taking on the demon. This, like Jason Blood is like, of course, perfect Alan Moore sort of way. Like, it's not really taking the demon. He's trying to make the demon take it, but he won't take it. So like, everyone's still losing, essentially.
I'm going to take a
Thanks,
moment
Alan Moore.
just for a couple of input things from the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There are some where there are 2 books that people have mentioned that I haven't read yet. But a shout out from Miss Sunflower to Harrow County. Have either of you looked at this?
Harrow County
Harrow
is
County?
great.
Cool.
I don't remember it being demons. I know that it's witches, and it would make sense that there would be demons. I always thought it was just like, I remembered it as ghosts, but
But
Yeah,
and
Harrow
a total
County, like-
tribute to Dark Horse, right?
I think it's Image. Maybe it's Dark Horse. I can't remember.
I should remember, but I don't.
It's been about a year since I read it. Harrow County is amazing. It's like, I think it's all watercolor too.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's Cullen Bunn, I think, is the writer on it, and it's incredible.
And we have
it's
a shout out from
Sunflower. Good choice.
Dark Half Elf 284 is wondering if, and I don't know this, but I think it's a manga series, the Fate/Stay series.
Ooh,
Okay, Porter, help. What is Fate Stay about?
It's basically summoning a bunch of old heroic spirits from any time period, and they fight each other for the Holy Grail.
That's
What's it called?
Fate?
Fate Stay, there's the whole
Fate Stay.
Is that an anime?
Yeah, Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero, Fate...
Oh, Fate Zero, I've heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fate Zero is the prequel series, and it's super fucking dope. I mean, dope.
It is
Okay.
super dope.
Super duper dope.
Dark Half Elf, thank you for bringing that up. They were wondering if it would be considered anything sort of magical, like in that realm. And we shall have to check in.
Have to check it out.
And
I
that makes me want to
also-
talk about Gaunt Z.
Are there
Go,
demons
do
in
it.
guns?
Well, think about it. It's like you have these things that are just. Oh, I know. We're just like.
Okay, two
yeah,
more
go-
before, and then we're going to go to guns. We have a request from Paladinish that we need to direct to your lovely wife, Brittany, because Paladinish is wondering, can we British keep your lovely wife, Brittany?
Oh God, no. No, I keep my lovely wife Brittany.
It's a package deal, y'all.
Yeah, if you want her, then you have to get me too.
And
So
you can't take
No,
Matt
and you
because
can't.
we need him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they both have
They
to stay
need me.
here.
And I want to do a final shout out to a certain alpha mod with a birthday, Lady Amphi.
Lady Amphi,
Halloween is
Hey.
your birthday?
that is cool.
That's really fun.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday! Pew, pew, pew,
Pew,
pew,
pew,
pew.
pew, 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 pew. Happy
Confetti,
birthday.
confetti, cake.
Cake and confetti and candy.
Please
Candy in the
Photoshop
cake.
cake here.
Candy.
Birthday cow says happy birthday.
Okay, and also your parents, this was early on, were in fact in chat, probably being disappointed by your Texas accent. It doesn't say that, but I'm going to say
Oh, that's my assumption as well. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
What is Gantz about?
Okay, so okay, it's fun. All right, so picture this: like you die, and then all of a sudden you come back to life, like you are in a room with some other people. You're there. Like let's say you were saving somebody on the train tracks and you ended up getting hit. Like in the sewer. And then, the next moment you are in this room with other people. There's this pod-like thing that activates and is filled with armor. And it tells you that you have a mission that you have to go into a different part of the world or a different part of Japan and fight these demons. And then if you fight enough demons against these other teams, then you earn enough points to be able to level up your armor and also kind of get like a day pass where you can just, go back into your life. But keeping in mind, you're dead. People know that you are dead. So you can't
can't go back as yourself.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
It's kind of, but like the...
Almost certainly unrelated, but since we aren't going to have time to get to it properly, I think this is a good time to say, Spawn, hat tip to people who are big Spawn fans.
Oh, yeah,
my
Violators.
God,
that
That's
Day
right.
Pass idea. But
Yeah.
so God starts with that premise, and it's like you'll get to visit them, but they still know you're dead.
Exactly. So, and it's you can be killed, and once you're killed, you're done. So this is like a second chance kind of a thing with you fighting these otherworldly creatures. I always thought of them as demons. I mean, that's what they fly. They're demons and everything. It's manga. It's also an anime. It's also a movie. It used to be on Netflix. Gaunt's O. And it's well worth it. It really is. I like that one.
What's that?
Co-sign for
Yes, it's good.
Excellent.
It's really good.
Well, we've come to that time. It is topic time. Time for our 5-minute
Our curse is once more upon us.
Our demonic curse once more upon us. So we're going to kick this off. Hi, everybody. This is the Wednesday Club. You can watch us on Geek and Sundry's Twitch channel every Wednesday night at 7 or on projectalpha.com VOD whenever you want. I'm Matt Key. We're joined by Amy Dallen and the wonderful one and only Markeia McCarty.
And I don't know when you're watching this, but it's Halloween.
Yes.
It's Halloween, hence
Jesse Custer here.
Yeah. Wonder Woman, Beast.
Hank McCoy. And Ms. Dallen, if you would be so kind as to give us our 5-minute topic tonight.
A topic. It's from Tortuga del Mar, which is an amazing name.
That is an amazing name.
Topic. If you could go trick-or-treating to any house in any comic book universe, this is already an amazing question.
Wow.
What houses would you visit? What candy would they give? And what costume would you be wearing? Topic. If you could go trick-or-treating to any house in any comic book universe, what houses would you visit? What candy would they give? And what costume would you be wearing? Okay, so if you go to Xavier's mansion, the problem is going to be that the bowl of candy is half full of, like, rubble. Because, like, no matter, there's been some battle there where, like, by the time you get to the door, it's the end of whatever adventure the X-Men have been having. And it's just, like, Kitty at the door being like, everything's fine.
Kitty
Please
Pryde
enjoy.
with, like, a demon, like, behind her, just like, she's like, ignore that.
It's Kit Kats and, like, chunks of cement. But, just be careful.
Okay.
Because they're putting a good face on
because
it.
it's Kitty Pryde.
There we go.
Yeah. I think that maybe if you could somehow get into Wakanda and you went up to the palace, that would be like the best possible candy that you would ever get. Because it would probably be candy like maybe they have some laced with vibranium. I don't know. But no, it would be like,
But like flavors of chocolate you can't get anywhere else.
Anywhere else. It's like the really good stuff. It would be
it's
like stuff that they make
altered,
there. It wouldn't be like
but not in a bad way. It's
not
like
in a bad
GMO
way.
stuff. It's
It'd
just
be
like, okay.
like nutritious but still delicious.
They would find a way to make chocolate nutritious.
Yes.
Wakanda would totally do that.
They would so do that.
Oh man.
Okay,
It's
what
like
does
that
the
would be-
Sanctum give out?
You already know my answer. Like the second is like what? I'm like the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Does Dr. Strange or is Wong on Halloween duty?
Oh no, Wonger's on Halloween duty. Like Doctor Strange is like. Doctor Strange, like as much as I love him, does not know how to interact with normal people, and that would actually be kind of funny to see. Like Wong is indisposed, like he's like, I can't get the door. I'm making your sandwiches. Answer the door, asshole.
Oh, but all the kids know that this is like because Wong always gives the best candy, so they're
Yeah.
all gonna show up tonight. Except he's not there, and Dr. Strange has to do whatever Wong's been doing every Halloween.
And Doctor Strange doesn't know how to do it. Like Doctor Strange just doesn't. He doesn't know how to interact with people in a normal way because when he answers the door, he sees the demons and all the other things around you that he's like, I've got to fix this, and I don't. But if I do that, I'm
It's
gonna
like, I'm
freak
not going,
everybody
it's
out.
just a costume.
So like he would be like, here is candy, young children. Take,
They're like,
please. They'd be like, what is this creepy Vincent Price motherfucker?
Or would he
doing
like
with
try to
candy?
explain to them that they shouldn't be taking candy from mysterious people because he's seen that go wrong too many times?
I mean,
Would he do
maybe
that?
he would, but I think he would just be like overwhelmed with the fact that he's getting to hand out candy, where it's usually Wong that's doing it. I
What's
think he
the
would,
candy?
Do you think he would even like totally do it? I feel like he would. He's the kind of person that would
Like, maybe
just
he would find
leave
someone else, like-
no, he would like leave a bowl out that kept on refilling with candy, and then I just kind of want like
He could.
kids.
He that would be him. He would go one of two ways. He would either do that, or he'd be like, please. Come into the sanctum and see the glory within.
Haunted house!
Like, he would be like, here's a haunted house. Come inside. I'll take you on a tour. And all the kids are like, why am I upside down? Why am I in a circle? Why am I in my mom and dad's house when they were 10?
Okay,
Like,
actually,
You could
there is just a plug for a book that's out right now. There's, what are they calling it? It's like one of the Marvel All Ages books right now is doing like there's a Captain Marvel guest starring and Kamala's in it and a bunch of people. And the Captain Marvel shows up at the end, but like the Kamala and a bunch of other kids like go to a haunted house, and like spoilers for this, it's the sanctum. And by the end, Doctor Strange is like, and now we know not to break into people's houses, do we?
Oh,
So I got, it's
man.
super cute. It's adorable.
Awesome.
They're all cutesy. It's
Because, like,
I really want one of them to like be a newt and you don't really see it, and then like later be like, I was a newt, but I got better.
or got better. Or got better.
So obviously it would be a terrible idea, but I would want House of Secrets and House of Mystery to
Oh,
be
God, terrible
places you
idea.
can go on Halloween.
Terrible idea.
But you get like a candy with a story or a curse.
But and
the
if
curse.
Dream is there, like, you're like, trick or treat, and he's like, dream. Beautiful dream. Ah, what a beautiful dream.
Be like,
Wasn't I just at a person's house? Why am I in my bed dreaming right now? I don't know. What would you wear for the expansion?
Oh yeah. What would you wear?
What's your costume?
I would probably kind of be like a smart aleck and wear a little Magneto. Like I would obviously not be Magneto, but I would be that person that would show up in Magneto with like underarm and be like, yeah, give me candy.
I would trick or treat at the Sanctum Sanctorum as either John Constantine or Dr. Fate.
oh,
I love that.
Be like, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
I
Do you
would
know who I am?
I would go to Wakanda. I would probably dress as a ambassador from Zamunda.
that would be amazing.
Very fun.
Has there ever been a story where folks from Wakanda watch that movie?
Not as far as I know, but I know like a lot of people,
should.
they should. And just be like, oh
right.
yeah. This,
Shoot.
oh,
2, 1.
I'll be Beast, and I'll awkwardly show up at the mansion because I don't know the X-Men live there. It'll be one of those times where they don't know, like, and I'll just happen to be in the outfit, and they'll all be like, give her the candy and get her out of here before he comes out of the
You're
back room or
Beast.
something.
Oh my God, you're
Yeah.
Beast.
Or he'd answer
Yeah.
the door, and I'd be like,
I'm you. That's a good-looking beast.
and then Krakoa would have to give me candy on the way out because I ran away before I could get
Yeah,
it.
Dupe is like.
That was an awesome question. Thank you.
yeah, that
Great.
was really good.
That's
that.
been our 5-minute one-shot with the Wednesday Club. I'm Matt Key.
Amy Dallen.
And
Markeia McCarty.
and again, reiterate, you can watch us every Wednesday night on Geek and Sundry's Twitch at 7 p.m. or on Project Alpha whenever you want. We have 5 minutes left, so
Okay.
Okay, what else was on? Because I made a big list. And
made
it
a
was
big list?
Like,
Yeah.
we got to
Kind of mentioned Spawn.
more good stuff. Demon Knights. We've talked about it a little bit before, but a reference to another good use
Etrigan
of
was in that.
Etrigan and
That's a
some others.
DC
It's
title.
a medieval title they did. Constantine, Ghost Rider. We didn't really get into.
Yeah, Spirits of Vengeance.
There's.
oh yeah, like I did so much Ghost Rider for that we never
We got
like.
real distracted.
Zarathos is the demon who inhabits Ghost Rider and is almost as powerful as Mephisto. Back in the day, he was actually, this I didn't know until I was reading, he was becoming as powerful as Mephisto, and Mephisto tricked him into giving up some of his like soul power, essentially. He's like, I've got 1,000,000 souls, you've got 999,000 souls, why don't you give me a couple more of them souls? You're right, Mephisto, I should, why did I do that? And then he inhabited
There's
Johnny Blaze.
the demon Velasco. I wrote down a list of demon-related things because I thought it was funny, like Demon in a Bottle, the Iron Man story. Talk about your inner demons. And Demon Bear, which is sort of a demon.
Demon Bear, yeah.
Totally.
I like like that. We talk about Danielle for a second. I mean,
Danny
do we have
Moonstar?
any time?
Danny Moonstar, yeah.
Yeah, Danny Moonstar. I'm
It's
like,
always
Danielle.
time to talk about Danny
I'm
Moonstar.
using her government name. No, I'm not. I'm totally not. That was a misspeak. But yeah, I love Demon Bear. I mean, I'm so sad that the movie is just whenever.
Demon Bear is a villain in a New Mutants title, and he the mystical entity almost broke the entire team apart. But it's only like 2 issues.
Yeah.
It's only like a 2 or 3 issue story.
Early 80s, back then, that's how they did it.
Sinowitz, that's I never say his name. Sienkiewicz, thank you.
Claremont and Sienkiewicz
it's
working on a horror
fantastic,
story.
It's
beautiful
a total
art.
mind trip, but it's
the New Mutants
really
in that
good.
time was an absolute mind trip, just all the time. And then you mentioned Belasco. That's Ilyana Rasputin. That's one of my favorite X-Men stories because she disappears for a few years, and she's pulled into the hell dimension of Limbo, where she essentially is sort of a servant to the Belasco, which is the hell equivalent to a Sorcerer Supreme, like a demon Sorcerer Supreme. And she's gone for 10 years. She disappears when she's 8. She returns when she's 18, but she returns seconds after she left.
Yeah.
So the X-Men are like, where's Ilyana? Why did Ilyana disappear? And then she reappears a few seconds later, but is not the 8-year-old that they remembered.
Permanent chip on her shoulder.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit like Birthright.
And the sister to Colossus. So.
And so please shout out your other favorites that we didn't mention. This is just a fun. We'll have to do a
just like
whole
a
separate
calendar.
one
I
on
know.
where demons and Cthulhu monsters kind of fit, like Fatal.
Oh.
There's they sort of refer to things as demonic in there, like the Ed Brubaker series that's sort of Lovecraft noir. So this is a wonderful. Comics I think are great at this because you can explore this stuff visually in a way that like gives you, like Triumph and Torment, these permanently striking images as you explore these ideas.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons there's so much ground to cover.
Yeah, there's so much. Okay, just this.
We have 1 minute left. Go.
One last thing. What El Diablo from Suicide Squad, where with Chutriel, where because I'm so flustered. There's this actual one where he is literally crawling and tearing out of El Diablo. I marked it. I know I did. Okay. Well, it's in here.
Look at her Twitter. She'll post it.
Yeah, you know what? I will post it on my Twitter. But he literally tears out of El Diablo's skin, and it's on the ground.
Oh, that nasty.
It's horrific. Okay, but this is pretty cool to watch too. I think this is it. I think I found it. Is that yes, right here. He's literally tearing off El Diablo and bursting forth with his power.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, comics are a hell of a drug.
That's, I think, about a perfect sign. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thanks for having me again. I love this.
Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Markeia McCarty. It's up on the screen. That's how you spell it. And interact with me there because I honestly don't know what to do with social media. So I just like retweet things that other people do. And
I'm kind of the same.
Yeah, ask me questions and stuff and I'll respond. And then, help me with my social media. Be a little bit better about it.
Yay.
Our demons at work again. Thank you so much for watching Wednesday Club.
And we will see you. Do you remember what the topic is for next week?
We've batted around a couple, so let's not say until we've checked the tally.
Fair enough. We love you all. Happy Halloween. Be safe if you're still out trick-or-treating, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Stay tuned for Weave.
You little demons. Stay tuned for Weave at 9:30.